Is social media and the value we derive from it worth the time and energy we put into it? This is a question posed by Cal Newport in his book Digital Minimalism, and I found myself contemplating this question as a result of recently reading his book. Today's coffee conversation will include my thoughts on this topic and my own current personal philosophies of social media engagement. My hope is that you'll find this to be a helpful conversation. I speak from my point of view as a current PhD candidate, but the topics covered in this coffee conversation are pretty much relevant to anyone who engages with social media. So grab a coffee or other beverage and let's talk social media engagement. And if you're curious, this is one of my favorite Starbucks orders, a venti iced mocha decaf. Cheers. And if we haven't met yet, here I am telling you one of my favorite Starbucks orders. Hi, it's nice to meet you. My name is Jackie. I'm currently a PhD candidate. I study at the University of Toronto. More specifically, I study higher education, policy, governance, student success, these types of things. This channel is about productivity, personal development, academic tips, study skills, PhD life, higher education, things I research, things I love. If any of these topics interest you and you would like to receive updates from this channel, just click the subscribe and notification bells buttons below. Thank you for being a part of this community, and with that, let's get back to today's topic, social media engagement. So today's question, do you think social media has more positives than negatives, and is it worth the time we put into it? It's a really good question. Here are some things that I see as upsides and downsides of social media as pertaining to my work and my life, and after we discuss those, I'll tell you some more about my current social media philosophy. In terms of upsides, let's first talk about how I think it helps me in my work as a graduate student, and then more broadly. First, it should come as no surprise that social media helps me to engage with other scholars and research stakeholders. I get to know about their interests, I get to know about their recent work and initiatives, and maintain some sort of connection in between in-person interactions such as conferences. I find Twitter really helps with that. This process also helps me to learn about current events and issues in the field, come across books, conferences, articles, workshops, things that would be of interest to me, share my work and my research findings with research stakeholders. Social media also provides non-traditional teaching opportunities, which are great for grad students. Social media can also help you feel less alone about some of the more challenging aspects of academic life. People post about their difficult experiences and you see the supportive responses, which is really nice. Students also use it to plan socials. It just makes it easier to coordinate and stay in touch. And for me specifically, one of my faculty mentors actually lives 3,000 kilometers away in a different country. So social media gives us an opportunity to interact and just not only be an email to each other, makes the relationship feel just a little bit less robotic and enables us to have hallway conversations that we otherwise couldn't. More broadly, social media has brought me to you. It's helped me meet you and many other beautiful souls who I share interests with and who I might not have otherwise met had it not been for my YouTube channel or my Twitter or something like that. I learned things related to my hobbies such as figure skating, dance, choreography. Virtually all of the video editing skills that I've learned for this channel have been through engaging in social media in some way. Primarily YouTube videos and Skillshare is where I've learned all of that so far. And also just learning about social issues that I think are important that I want to learn more about. Twitter is sort of like my own personal news ticker, and it can be super helpful if there's, say, like an emergency situation happening in your country or where you live or something like that. What I love most about social media is that it's this cool, creative outlet. It's a means to inspire. It's a means to make a positive difference. And for someone who spends a lot of time actually on my own writing, like, I love that. It also assists with staying in touch. Someone like me, I have friends literally all over the world at this point as a result of having lived across Canada, having lived in the US, and attended universities that have a very sort of international student body. And I really love that I can keep in touch with people, even if we're not in touch all like one-to-one all that much. I still really care about, you know, just the little things like seeing how they're doing in life. And if and when we do connect one-on-one, you have something that you can ask them about. I really like that. So it doesn't replace sort of those like one-to-one interactions, but it's nice. So those are what I currently see as upsides, but let's also talk about the challenges Number one, feeling imposter syndrome. When scrolling through social media, you'll come across announcements about successes in life. Academically, it's, I published a paper, I earned a scholarship, I earned a grant, I hit a milestone. Obviously, you also come across announcements about those other life's milestones. I got engaged, I had a kid, I'm married, I graduated from this university, so on and so forth. 99.9% of the time, it's really fun to celebrate our friends, and other successes can serve as inspiration and motivation. When it can be more of a struggle is if you have recently experienced a setback or a roadblock or a rejection, which is pretty common in academia. And if you don't catch yourself in time, this can sometimes lead you to compare yourself in unhealthy ways to others. Thinking that I'm not as good or I don't belong here, that type of thing. And as we know, friends, that is not true. Speaking to my PhD student friends, if you got into your institution, you deserve to be there. There's also the issue of feeling like you have to sort of keep up with the Joneses. That is having a lifestyle that compares well to others, belongings, wealth, how you spend your time. Even if you're feeling okay with your life path and you know that it involves some delayed gratification, social media might increase the number of times you have moments where you're like, I wish I could do that too right now. And you know that it's not something that can happen for at least some time. That's difficult. When I have that type of moment, I find what really helps myself is to remind myself that so much of social media is curated. We all encounter challenges and struggles. And that while someone might have access to some things that you don't have, others might look at your life and feel similarly. For example, I remember someone telling me as a grad student, the person having a substantial amount of wealth, that they actually envied my ability to sort of decide during my day how I was going to allocate my time. Their work day was very, very structured, and they envied my ability to do that. And I found that fascinating. There's also the amount of time and energy that you spend in order to derive the value that you see in a particular social media service. This is one of the main points brought up by Cal Newport in his book called Digital Minimalism. For example, if you come across great articles and resources on Twitter, how long does it actually take you to get to that material? It's important for us to remember that Silicon Valley's companies design these apps to keep us on them as long as possible, and through notifications and reminders, bring us back to the apps. So here's a question for you right now. How in charge do you feel of your engagement with social media? Another point that Cal Newport brings up in his book is the idea that sometimes social media might make us feel more connected than we actually are. If you like something or a quick comment on a photo, that type of thing, that might trick us into thinking that we're connected, but it can't really take the place or supersede the satisfaction that comes from interacting one-to-one in person. The latter interactions bring deeper friendships and connection. Don't get me wrong, super helpful to be able to maintain touch in an emergency like this that we're going through with the current pandemic. While I'm alone a fair bit writing my thesis. The issue is when you're tricked into being deterred from interacting individually in person, that kind of thing. Another thing that Cal Newport discusses in his book is how social media can really interrupt the flow of your work, and I would totally agree, through the alerts, through the notifications, through that urge that you feel to check it. And I'm going to come back to talk about how my social media philosophy is helping me to mitigate this. There's also the challenge of not knowing what type of emotion or topic you're going to encounter in a given moment. And, am I going to encounter joy and happiness? Am I going to encounter sadness, anger, my preparedness to encounter those emotions in that moment? It's so important to be there for our friends and to support them. And just that friendly reminder of what healthcare professionals often say, that you need to remember to put on your own oxygen mask before you can help someone else. Sometimes it makes sense to take a break here and there, and that's okay. So those are some of the challenges that I find social media poses. The next part of this coffee conversation is what I've been doing about this for myself in hopes that it might give you some ideas as well. So inspired by Cal Newport's recommendation and discussion in his book, Digital Minimalism, I've actually created my own personal social media engagement philosophy. I highly recommend reading his books if the idea of having a personal social media engagement philosophy appeals to you. You can find links to the books in the description below. So to support my daily work and ability to focus on what matters most, Sunday evenings and then again every morning, I reflect on what is most important to accomplish in a given day, week, but also connecting back to some of those bigger picture dreams and goals. Doing this at the beginning of the day reduces the likelihood of me feeling tempted to check social media. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are all blocked on my computer from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. using an app called Focus Me. If I need to use any of those platforms for a productive purpose, I can simply turn off Focus Me, but at least there's a step involved. I should mention that YouTube is not included in the block list because I use ambient soundscape videos on YouTube while I'm studying, or I might study to a study with me video. However, in doing so, I might come across a video that's very interesting that I'd like to watch, and I'm training myself to add it to my watch later list or to my downloaded videos list, which I can do as a YouTube Premium student subscriber. It's a great function to have for taking videos to watch them while you're at the gym or while you're traveling. I also prioritize having fun with social media. If I'm going to engage with social media, I prefer to do so in the evening during downtime where I can really feel like I'm just, scrolling for fun. That way, what's most important to get done is done during the time of day when I have the most energy. So my dissertation, your girl's gotta graduate. In terms of posting, it's such a cool thing to be creative with, to be artistic with. It's fun to learn new related skills and express yourself and put yourself out there. While I am aware of algorithms and how they can help us to extend the reach of our work, I primarily post as motivated by my own creative and thinking process. There's something so artistic about all of this, and I love being an artist. I think that an artistic approach can lead to some of your highest quality work, which others will enjoy that much more when they engage with it. So that artistic creativity, time sort of invested into whatever you're putting out there, that draws people into your work. I very much view my YouTube channel and social media in general as a means where I can help make a difference and maybe inspire some others. I'm also keen to keep things fun. I think that shows up in your work as well. So in summary, I harness algorithms to help me expand the reach of my work, but I try not to live my life by them. I think doing so can impact the quality of your content and can also lead to creator burnout. Another aspect of my personal social media engagement philosophy is to give myself room to breathe. For example, my social media apps are located on a folder on the second page of my iPad and my iPhone so that I won't kind of feel as compelled immediately to engage them when I find myself, standing in line at the grocery store or waiting for the subway. I've instead cued myself to see that as a time to be with my thoughts. And so if I'm standing in a grocery lineup, I actually now know and remind myself, this is time to think. This isn't time to try and occupy yourself with your phone. Instrumental music is okay, but that's pretty much it. I also ask myself more often now, would it be best to spend this time scrolling through social media, or is there another hobby or interest you might want to spend time on, such as even reading? Do I perfectly implement this philosophy on a daily basis? Absolutely not. But has my overall relationship with social media improved since implementing this philosophy? Yeah. Again, I highly recommend checking out Cal Newport's work if developing a personal social media engagement philosophy appeals to you. I'd love to hear what you end up including in your own personal social media engagement philosophies in the comments below. Just so you know, I've been doing some brainstorming and I'm super excited about some of the video topics I plan to cover in the coming weeks. If you'd like to be the first to receive those videos, just remember to click the subscribe and notification bell buttons questions below. Until my next video, let's stay in touch. You can keep in touch with me on Twitter at Jackie Beaulieu or on Instagram at PhD Essentials. Until then, wishing you a beautiful and productive week. Bye, friends.